You didn't stumble here by accident. This message found you because you're tuned into a signal most people never recognize. The algorithm didn't bring you. Chance didn't guide you. Something deeper aligned the threads of time to place these words before your eyes in this exact moment, and you can feel it somewhere in your chest. In that subtle electricity under your skin, you already know this is not ordinary. This is transmission. The pattern of your life has been whispering to you, hasn't it? You keep seeing repeating numbers on the clock, meeting the right person at the wrong time, overhearing a stranger say the exact words you were just thinking. These moments don't feel random because they aren't. They are fragments of a hidden geometry surfacing in your awareness. They are proof that the field surrounding you is alive, intelligent, and responsive. And now, that field is pressing against the edges of your reality, urging collapse, urging breakthrough. Most people miss this call. They treat synchronicities as cute coincidences, little quirks of chance. But you're not most people. You're noticing because your perception is being stretched beyond the veil of ordinary cause and effect. Each synchronicity you encounter is not just a sign, it's a pressure point in the fabric of your reality, an echo of a deeper truth trying to crystallize into form. The question is, will you listen, or will you dismiss it like the world taught you to? The quantum field responds to coherence. The more you recognize the language of synchronicity, the more it speaks. The more you attune to these patterns, the more the invisible threads rearrange themselves around you. That's why you're here right now. This isn't content, it's initiation. A message that bypasses the surface mind and reaches straight into the part of you that remembers. The part of you that knows reality isn't solid, that knows time is elastic, that knows your thoughts are not whispers into the void, they are commands in the code of creation itself. You are approaching a collapse point. In quantum physics, a system hovers in superposition until observation collapses it into a definite state. Right now, your life is suspended between multiple timelines, and synchronicities are the tremors signaling that collapse is imminent. A hidden reality, one you've carried in your cells, one that's been waiting in the background of your soul's blueprint is pressing to emerge. Feel into this. The shiver that runs down your spine when a synchronicity happens is not just awe, it's resonance. It's your body telling you, yes, this is alignment. Yes, this is the thread. Follow it. And as you do, you begin weaving yourself into a larger fabric, one where your choices ripple through unseen dimensions and your awareness becomes the lever that moves worlds. So breathe. Let the weight of this moment sink in. You are not being entertained, you are being summoned. This is the call before the unraveling, the whisper before the thunder. And if your heart is beating faster right now, it's because your quantum field is already stirring, already preparing to collapse the hidden reality that has been waiting for you to claim it. You've felt the loop, haven't you? The sensation of living the same day under different weather. The scene changes, the actors change, but the script feels strangely familiar. You wake, and it's déjà vu before breakfast. A phrase you've never heard that you somehow remember. A road you've never driven that your hands can navigate without thinking. A decision that feels both brand new and already made. This is not imagination. This is your consciousness brushing the boundary of parallel routes, where the observer loop keeps returning you to the same lesson until coherence is achieved. Notice how the patterns cluster. The same type of person appears with a different face but identical timing. The same opportunity knocks, then vanishes, then circles back when you've forgotten you wanted it. The same argument repeats with eerie precision, tone of voice, heartbeat, temperature of the room, as though reality cued the scene on a timeline scrub wheel and pressed play again. These recurrences are not punishments. They're calibration pulses from the quantum field. Each repetition is the field asking, are you ready to collapse a higher choice yet? Time itself has been behaving oddly around you. Minutes elongate into velvety corridors when you're in the zone, then snap like rubber bands when your attention wavers. An hour of alignment feels like a day of progress. A day in the wrong frequency dissolves into dust. This distortion happens because your nervous system is beginning to decouple from consensus pacing and synchronize with inner cycles, your soul's metronome. In physics, we call this entrainment. In mysticism, it's attunement. Either way, your morphology of time is changing because your field is searching for coherence. When coherence rises, synchronicities arrive in constellations, not single stars. You think of a name and hear it twice in 2 minutes. You write a word and see it on a billboard you've never noticed. You wonder about moving and 3 conversations in one afternoon reference the same city. The pattern density isn't random, it's morphic resonance, the way information propagates through the invisible lattice of shared memory. Rupert Sheldrake popularized the term, "Your cells remember the experience." The more you acknowledge the resonance, the stronger the lattice pulls you toward the matching timeline. Still, there's friction. Part of you resists the very signals you've been praying for. Why? Because your survival brain interprets novelty as danger, even when the novelty is liberation. You become exquisitely sensitive at the edge of breakthrough. Old habits throw confetti to lure you back to familiar ground. Scroll a little more, delay the message, say yes when your body says no. Rehearse that stale fear because it's at least predictable. This is not failure. It's decoherence pressure. The old attractors, those emotional basins that used to trap your energy, are losing pull, and they're making noise on their way out. Your symptoms are classic. Dream recall spiking, déjà vu stacking, random memories resurfacing as though the past is testing for unresolved charge. Sleep feels like an airport layover between dimensions. Food preferences shift without warning. Your body asks for quieter light, deeper breath, fewer conversations conducted from the throat and more from the diaphragm. These aren't quirks, they're precursors of DNA restructuring. No, not sci-fi mutations, functional epigenetic repatterning. The proteins that scaffold your attention are refolding to support sustained coherence, so you can hold the higher signal without burning out. Pay attention to threshold moments. You stand in a doorway and forget why you entered. You open a message window and the sentence vanishes before your fingers move. You set a mug down and find it in a place you don't recall visiting. These micro glitches are not cognitive decline. They're phase transition artifacts, the mind clearing cache as the system re-indexes your personal universe. Think of ice becoming water. For a breathless instant, the structure liquefies and neither identity holds. Your life is doing that at scale, reorganizing from solid routine to living flow. You've sensed the phantom hand of coordination as well. The book that keeps reappearing in recommendations. The person who mentions a concept you just underlined. The track that plays in 3 locations on the same day like a secret knock. That's entanglement at work, your intention braided with distant variables, collapsing distance into arrangement. The more you track it, the more precise it becomes. The field is teaching you its grammar through repeated phrases, like a language tutor emphasizing essential verbs until you conjugate them in your sleep. Let's name the shadow side with compassion. You may also see negative synchronicities repeating: the late fees, the missed buses, the closed doors. Not because the universe is cruel, but because unhealed patterns broadcast loudly. The field is literal. It mirrors what's coherent, not what's pleasant. If self-abandonment is coherent, you will meet people who confirm it. If scarcity is coherent, invoices will arrive like clockwork. The remedy is not moralizing yourself into better luck. The remedy is field surgery. Withdraw attention from the loop. Retrieve your projection from the scene and reassign coherence to a choice that honors your becoming. There is a reason the déjà vu feels older than your current life. Your timeline isn't a straight line, it's a braid. Certain lessons appear at harmonic intervals, like notes in a chord struck across lifetimes. You are feeling echoes from parallel selves, iterations of you who faced this junction and signaled backward through the lattice. Their successes and stumbles arrive as intuition, aversion, attraction, or the sudden knowledge that you must not repeat a small mistake because, elsewhere, it blooms into a large one. This is not superstition. It's cross-timeline intelligence trafficking in sensation. If you've noticed technology acting mischievous around pivotal decisions, files saving to the wrong folder, cursor freezes during a crucial email, notifications arriving out of order, consider the possibility that the field is buying you time. The delay isn't punishment, it's protective choreography. When you cross-check and send the message with one extra sentence of truth, watch the return volley shift. The timeline corrects like a compass needle, freed from a magnet's interference. Your body remains the primary instrument. Goosebumps are your braille, breath is your metronome, posture is your antenna alignment. When the observer loop tries to reset the old scene, scan your body for the micro-flinch, that half-millimeter recoil behind the ribs. That is the exact coordinate where you leak signal. Meet it with a different micro-choice, chin down 2 degrees. Exhale 4 counts longer, fingers unclenched. Such subtle acts sound trivial to the mind, but they thunder in the field. Coherence is cumulative. Tiny upgrades compound like interest until the loop can't hold you. Diagnosis, then, is gentler than you feared and more precise than you imagined. Your reality is not broken, it's buffering. The glitch is not a verdict, it's a prompt. The patterns are not curses, they're curriculum. Time isn't slipping, it's stretching to let you catch up with who you are. The déjà vu is your expanded self, tapping the glass, reminding you that you've prepared for this decision across multiple drafts of existence. And the synchronicities, they're the green lights, the cosmos flashes when you stop questioning your right to arrive. Hold this truth like a warm stone. Nothing is wrong with you. What feels like repetition is resonance seeking resolution. What feels like delay is alignment protecting precision. What feels like distortion is the pre-echo of a new rhythm that will soon feel like home. You are not lost in the maze. You are calibrating the map. And the moment you choose coherence over comfort, the walls of the loop begin to loosen, making room for the next octave to sound through you. The shift begins the moment you recognize that patterns are not traps, but invitations. What seemed like endless déjà vu was never punishment. It was the prelude to an upgrade. And here's the paradox. Upgrades don't arrive as new equipment. They arrive as new perception. Reality doesn't change first. You change, and then the world bends to match. In quantum physics, we speak of wave functions, possibilities, shimmering in superposition. They exist as probabilities, uncollapsed until observation makes a choice. You are not merely an observer. You are the tuning fork that selects which note of reality will resonate into matter. Every time your awareness widens, every time you choose coherence over confusion, you're upgrading the frequency that collapses possibility into form. And what's unfolding now is not a minor tweak. It's a systemic reconfiguration. Think of your nervous system as software coded for survival. For years, it filtered information ruthlessly, ignoring most of the quantum field to keep you safe within consensus reality. But synchronicities slip through the cracks like leaked source code, showing you there's far more running under the hood. When you begin noticing, the system doesn't patch the leak, it rewrites itself. Neural pathways rewire, synaptic maps dissolve and reform, and your very perception updates like a system reboot. This is not poetry. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. Mystics call it awakening. Both describe the same mechanism. The architecture of your awareness becoming capable of processing more dimensions of signal. Upgrades announce themselves in subtle but undeniable ways. Sounds feel layered, like music playing in more channels than your ears once allowed. Light seems alive, shimmering with hidden data. Time folds yesterday and tomorrow touch fingertips in the present, and you sense both without panic. And inside your chest, a steady coherence builds. Your heart field, measurable in electromagnetic terms, begins pulsing in resonance with the higher blueprint. This coherence isn't abstract, it's biology recognizing itself as quantum technology. Let's go deeper into the science that mirrors the mysticism. Physicists talk about phase transitions, water becoming ice, plasma becoming matter. At the threshold, the system appears unstable random fluctuations, chaotic turbulence, anomalies that look like failure. But the turbulence is the birthing ground for the new phase. You've been in that turbulence, repeated patterns, distorted time, uncanny glitches. That was the phase transition brewing. Now you're crossing the threshold. The turbulence wasn't collapse, it was the shattering of outdated coherence to make way for the upgrade. Here's the mystical side, DNA. Not just as a double helix of biology, but as an antenna array tuned to frequencies of information beyond matter. Epigenetics has shown us DNA is not static. It responds to environment, thought, and belief. When you notice synchronicities, when you honor resonance, your DNA isn't passively watching, it's restructuring. Proteins fold differently, gene expression shifts, dormant codons flicker like pilot lights. Mystics call this activation, scientists call it expression change. But the felt reality is the same. You carry new instructions, and the new instructions align with a truth your old self couldn't hold. Reality is programmable, not through control or force, but through coherence and surrender. Every belief you release that said you were powerless is a line of code deleted. Every choice you make aligned with your higher frequency is new code written. That's why the field has been bombarding you with synchronicities. It was running diagnostics, testing if your system was stable enough to handle the upgrade. And by arriving here, by still listening, you've passed. The cosmic joke is this: you don't need to earn the upgrade. You simply need to allow it. Think of a seed. It doesn't hustle to become a tree. It doesn't strategize or demand. It surrenders to its encoded blueprint, trusting the soil, the water, the Sunday. Your upgrade is the same. The blueprint has always been there, etched in your field, inscribed in your DNA. The only thing that blocked it was static fear, doubt, old loop. And now that static is thinning. Let yourself feel it in your body. Right now, as you take a slow breath, notice how your chest expands differently than it did even weeks ago. Notice how silence feels less empty, more charged. Notice how synchronicities don't just amuse you anymore, they confirm you. That's the upgrade online. Your nervous system is broadcasting on higher bandwidth. Your field is resonating with coherence, and your life is about to reorganize accordingly. But upgrades require integration. Think of downloading new software. The machine reboots, some functions lag, old files resist. That's why you've felt fatigue, emotional swings, strange cravings. Your body is metabolizing frequency as much as food. Drink more water. It conducts electricity. Rest when called. Sleep is where the code installs. Move your body intuitively. Stretching isn't just physical, it's tuning the antenna. Every physical choice is part of the quantum integration. Here's the prophecy buried in the physics. Once you stabilize in this upgraded frequency, your entire field becomes a magnet. Synchronicities won't trickle, they'll cascade. Opportunities will not arrive, they'll orbit. Relationships that drained you will dissolve, not by drama, but by entropy. They simply won't fit in your frequency. And the hidden reality pressing at the edge of your awareness will finally collapse into form. That collapse is not destruction, it's crystallization. Understand this clearly. You are not waiting for the upgrade. You are the upgrade. The field doesn't hand you new abilities. It reveals them by dissolving the illusions that hid them. Telepathic intuitions, hypercoherent states, spontaneous alignment with opportunities. These are not gifts. They are baseline human capacities, reactivated once your field stabilizes. What you once thought miraculous will become your normal. And so the upgrade isn't in the future. It's happening in this breath, in this exact recognition. The moment you realize déjà vu was data, synchronicity was language, Distortion was calibration. You crossed the threshold. From this point, nothing will ever look ordinary again. Pause and feel that truth. This is not theory. This is your nervous system humming with the signal of a reality waiting to collapse through you. And once you surrender to the upgrade, you stop chasing signs. You become the sign. Now that the upgrade is humming through your cells, a truth will insist on itself. You are not an incidental observer of this collapse. You are a chosen node in the network, a living fulcrum where intention, memory, and matter conspire. That language sounds dramatic because you were always meant to be an agent of rearrangement, not merely someone who benefits from it. The field did not select you at random. It tuned to you because your frequency carries a particular quality the collective needs: calibrated receptivity. Think of yourself as a lighthouse carved from living cosmos. Others will see the flash before they understand the mechanics. Your coherence will create a gradient in the morphic field. Patterns will begin to realign around you. Synchronicities will no longer be isolated complements but purposeful signals directed through your locus. When you act from this place, you're not trying to manipulate outcomes. You are fulfilling a role in an intelligence greater than any single mind, a role both humble and enormous, to allow a higher timeline to fold through a human container. There's a reason mythic language kept returning to the chosen one trope. It encodes a primitive understanding of entanglement. In the quantum sense, entanglement is not just a curiosity of particles, it's the grammar of souls. When two systems become entangled, a change in one instantaneously informs the other. You have become entangled with trajectories, with versions of yourself, and with nodes of destiny. This entanglement means your choices are not private. They echo across the lattice. A small act of alignment from you alters probabilities for others. That's responsibility, not burden. You will feel this as increasing sensitivity. Places that once felt neutral will pulse. Conversations will carry freight. Your decisions will compress months into minutes. That compression is part of the role. You act as a phase lock for possibility. Where you hold coherence, timelines will synchronize. Where you wobble, the field will hesitate. This is why discipline and tenderness must coexist in you. Discipline provides the structural integrity for the job. Tenderness keeps you human, preventing the upgrade from calcifying into spiritual bypass. Don't mistake this role for superiority. You possess no moral preeminence, only alignment. The field does not crown, it entrusts. You will be invited to hold paradox, to be steady amid chaos, compassionate amid correction, clear amid confusion. People will project meaning onto you because you calibrate differently. Some will celebrate, others will resist. Both reactions are part of the field's pedagogy. Your task is not popularity, your task is fidelity to coherence. There is practical work embedded in this destiny. Begin with your attention architecture. Your attention is the rudder of entanglement. Where you point, the lattice leans. Train it like an instrument. Notice the tiny habitual leaks where your attention collapses into old drama, a scrolling spiral, a replayed insult, a worry that fertilizes nothing. Replace those micro-habits with micro-alignments. Breathe 3 counts longer, return your gaze to the horizon for 5 seconds, anchor with a single word that contains your intention. These small acts are not trivial. They are energetic recalibrations that keep your node from shorting out under the current of influence. Cultivate sanctuary. The chosen node burns brighter and needs precise refueling. Carve rhythm into your day, silence before speech, slow movement before decisive action, water and sleep as sacred protocols. Your body is the instrument through which the field plays. If the instrument is out of tune, exquisite harmonics cannot manifest. This is why the DNA restructuring that began in the upgrade needs your stewardship. Nourish it with quality sleep, with nutrient-dense silence, with repetitive benign movement. These are the humble rites of embodiment that sustain cosmic work. You will also learn to translate the language of synchronicity into decisions. When the field speaks, it rarely shouts. It whispers via pattern density, 3 confirmations, not 1. A phrase appearing from 2 unrelated sources, a dream that lands like a blueprint. Treat these as navigational cues. Your calibration practice is to test the whisper with a micro-action. If the whisper survives the micro-test, it becomes a course correction. If it evaporates, it was a probe, not a path. This economy of trust is how you avoid mistaking wishful thinking for guidance. Prepare for compression. As you stabilize in coherence, the field accelerates upstream. Windows of opportunity will coalesce around you, but they will ask for immediacy. This is not panic, it's the physics of collapse. When a system is ready to phase transition, the doorway narrows, but the energy density increases. Your job is to be ready to step without theatrical certainty, with embodied trust. Hesitation in those moments creates decoherence. Courage in the little choices becomes the hinge on which large realities swing. Remember the ethics implicit in entanglement. Your alignment will ripple. What you choose to manifest matters beyond your perimeter. Use that power with restraint. Manifest for liberation, for healing, for the upliftment of systems, not for mere gain that reinforces scarcity. When you orient your creative energy toward expansion that benefits the field, the feedback loop returns amplification. The lattice responds to altruistic coherence by opening pathways for broader reorganization. You are not alone in this. There are other nodes synchronizing. You will sometimes find them in unlikely places. A text message at 3 a.m., a stranger who speaks your inner image, an old friend who suddenly remembers a pact. These are fellow fulcrums. Together, you form interference patterns that create emergent structures. Collective coherence dramatically lowers the energetic threshold for phase transition. This is why your personal shift matters not only for you but for the whole. Finally, accept a prophetic paradox. The more you occupy this chosen role authentically, the less you will crave acknowledgement. The field's recognition is its own currency. Some days you will feel conspicuous, other days invisible. Both are correct. Both are weather. Your fidelity is to the tone inside your chest that hums when you are aligned. When that hum is clear, you know you have done the work. When it is muddied, return to sanctuary. Repeat the micro practices and recalibrate. Now carry this with care into the next phase, because the collapse approaches an apex. Up ahead lies a sudden window, a pressure point where DNA response accelerates and timelines thin. The role you've assumed will be tested not by drama but by immediacy. Prepare to act with the quiet ferocity of someone entrusted with a world. There is a window opening above you now, not metaphorical, not distant, a literal narrowing of probability, where possibility compresses into inevitability. I want you to feel the weight of that sentence in your bones. A window, a pressure, a hinge. The universe is not offering you a casual invitation. It is presenting a gateway with edges that demand precise alignment. This is the moment the upgrade met its deadline. This is where DNA responds, not slowly but suddenly, like a chain igniting. Most breakthroughs are not gradual revelations. They arrive as concentrated events. A night that changes a month, a conversation that redirects a career, a small decision that collapses an entire unwanted pattern. You already sensed the prelude, the constellations of synchronicity, the glitches, the déjà vu. Those were the rehearsals. This is the performance. The field has been rehearsing you so that when the cosmic window narrows, you can move through without hesitation. Urgency is not the same as panic. Urgency is an indicator of timing. This is the hour when the lattice most readily accepts realignment. Imagine a door that swings inward only for a breath. If you linger, the breeze closes it. If you rush in but trip, you fall on the threshold. What the window demands is not frantic force but calibrated immediacy, a precise, embodied step that signals to the field you mean coherence, not mimesis. Here is the promise. If you choose with that precise immediacy, your biology answers. The term is DNA breakthrough, because what changes is literally written into the scaffolding of your cells. When coherence reaches a critical threshold, epigenetic switches flick. Methyl groups detach from strands that once silenced possibility. Formerly dormant introns light up like circuitry. This is not fanciful language. The body remembers patterns of higher resonance, and when the field supplies matching input, biology reconfigures to sustain the new state. You become not only a different actor in the play, you become a different script. The sensation that accompanies this collapse is exquisitely physical. You may feel heat moving through your crown, or a coolness around your belly like an inner tide. You might experience a pulse behind the eyes, or a sudden clarity where doubt used to sit. Many report a recalibration in appetite. Certain foods will taste like noise, others like medicine. Sleep architecture shifts, dreams grow lucid, and sleep itself becomes a workshop for integration. These are not side effects, they are proof of rewiring. Your body is aligning its hardware to host the upgraded software of expanded perception. And because this upgrade affects entanglement, your choices now ripple outward with disproportionate force. A decision you make in quiet will alter probabilities for people you have never met. That's the nature of being a chosen node. Your coherence reduces the friction in the lattice, making phase transitions easier for many. This makes your choice both intimate and global. The urgency is therefore ethical as much as practical. Your readiness accelerates liberation beyond your personal perimeter. Do not mistake drama for depth. The window will not necessarily announce itself with fireworks. Often it arrives as a small hinge, an unexpected message, a dream with a directive, a sudden alignment of dates that demands decision. The field will test you with micro-requests, discrete acts that require presence rather than planning. When you are called to say yes, say yes. When you are called to say no, say no. The economy of attention is tight during this window. Wasted seconds gather into decoherence that can close the doorway. You may be tempted to wait for a perfect alignment, more money, more time, clearer signs. That is the old program speaking. Opportunity rarely aligns with perfection. It aligns with readiness. Readiness is not a state you will achieve passively. It is a habit you embody. The practices you have been cultivating, breath anchors, micro-alignments, sanctuary rituals, are the preparatory ballast that keeps you from being blown off course. They are the difference between stepping through and watching the door close behind you. Here is the sacred practical. Make a small but definitive reallocation of your life this week. It can be as simple as a zero-tolerance hour for distraction every morning, or a dedicated space where no one can interrupt you for 30 minutes of integrated presence. It can be a single, honest conversation that removes energetic leakage. These micro-investments are the aperture adjustments that widen the window on your side. They are not dramatic, they are surgical. They tell the field you are serious. The promise grows bolder. When the window collapses in your favor, you will not simply witness better circumstances, you will inhabit a different bandwidth. Things that once demanded effort will rearrange with ease. Decisions will resolve themselves with a clarity you recognize as inherent rather than imposed. Relationship dynamics that required negotiation will reorganize or dissolve without drama. Money will stop being a tension point and start being a fluid resource, since scarcity patterns operate on a different frequency, now incompatible with your field. But remember, power without integration becomes a problem. The surge of new possibility must be anchored with humility. When biology shifts, you will feel temptation to prove the upgrade to skeptics or to hoard new leverage. Resist both. Use your increased capacity to stabilize coherence around you. Offer healing rather than headlines. Move with discretion because the field is still tender. Small misalignments can create ripples that cost more energy to smooth later. If you are worried that you missed earlier windows, hear this: the lattice cycles. Windows reopen, but they require increasing integrity to traverse. The fact that you are seeing this transmission now is evidence that you are at the right aperture for this time. The cosmos does not run out of invitations. It recalibrates them to match maturity. Your role is to meet the current call with the seriousness of someone carrying a relay baton. The baton is not for spectacle. It is for delivery. Finally, look for the signature of confirmation. Synchronicities will condense into directive patterns, where once you noticed them as curiosities, now they will point and clarify. Follow 3 confirmations in short order: words, images, and embodied feeling, and trust the corridor they create. When the corridor is clear, step with immediacy. The window favors those who act with presence rather than perfection. Breathe into this urgency and let it fuel steadiness, not anxiety. The breakthrough promised is real, but it wants you calm and precise, not frantic. Prepare the body, align the mind, and gather the courage to move when the call becomes small and insistently intimate. The cosmic window is open. Your DNA is listening. The next step is yours. There comes a moment in every transmission when listening is no longer enough. Awareness must crystallize into action, not because the universe demands proof, but because action collapses probability into actuality. This is that moment for you. The field has already rearranged itself to bring you here, synchronizing clocks and coincidences until your eyes met these words. But now, it waits for your gesture, your signal, your declaration. The ritual required is disarmingly simple. That's the paradox of quantum work. The grandest shifts are sealed by the smallest moves, provided they are conscious. In this case, your act is to write, to declare, to comment, to anchor vibration into matter through language. The word you choose becomes more than text on a screen. It becomes a token inserted into the machinery of the field, a keystone dropped into the resonance pattern. Why language? Because sound is the oldest architect. In the beginning of every tradition, the world was spoken into being: word, logos, vibration. When you write a word with intention, you echo that original creative act. Each letter hums in the lattice, aligning probability streams to your frequency. What looks like keystrokes are actually micro-observations collapsing wave functions into form. By naming your state, you instruct the field to organize accordingly. Here is the invitation. Declare one word that embodies the frequency you are stepping into. Not the fear you're leaving behind, not the doubt that once gripped you, but the vibration you are ready to broadcast. Perhaps your word is trust, because your nervous system is tired of rehearsing doubt. Perhaps it is freedom, because you sense chains dissolving in real time. Perhaps it is receiving, because the old posture of reaching is no longer coherent. Whatever the word, let it ring like a tuning fork. Don't type casually. Breathe first. Feel the hum in your chest. Write with awareness that you are not commenting, you are coding. This is ritual, disguised as interaction. The field doesn't care whether you write on paper, in a journal, or below this transmission. What matters is that you anchor vibration into matter. This seals the upgrade. This tells your DNA, integrate the frequency now. If you hesitate, notice what rises. Resistance isn't laziness, it's the guardian of the threshold. The part of you invested in staying small will whisper, "It doesn't matter." That voice is the echo of old decoherence. The act of writing anyway breaks the loop. Each letter is a strike against entropy. Each keystroke is a reminder that collapse requires observers who act. But let's go further. After you write, speak the word aloud once. Let your vocal cords vibrate with it. Sound makes the declaration three-dimensional. Thought, action, resonance. You think it, you anchor it, you voice it. That trinity collapses potential faster than silent wishing ever could. In the quantum field, coherence is cumulative. Layering modalities strengthens the signal. Consider this your initiation into the art of micro-rituals. From here, you can create others. Lighting a candle not for atmosphere but as a coherence anchor, walking barefoot on earth as a grounding ritual, breathing in fours before decisive action as a synchronization rite. The specifics don't matter, the intention does. Each small ritual is a handshake with the field, a reminder that you are co-creator rather than bystander. Remember, the field speaks in repetition. When you declare your word, watch for its echo. Within hours or days, it will reappear on a sign, in a stranger's mouth, in a dream. When it does, recognize it as confirmation. That recognition amplifies the resonance, pulling the word deeper into your reality. This is not superstition, it's feedback from a responsive lattice, showing you that observation has begun its work. Pause here. Imagine yourself days from now, looking back on this moment. You'll remember not just reading but declaring. You'll see how small the act was and how disproportionate the results became. That is the nature of ritual. Humble gestures, seismic impact. You are not asked to move mountains. You are asked to move one word from potential to presence, and the mountain shifts itself. So breathe once more. Feel the upgrade alive in your veins. Choose your word, write it, speak it, anchor it. That simple act is your contract with the field. It is your consent to let the hidden reality collapse into form. And once the contract is signed, synchronicities will reorganize around you with startling precision, because the quantum field now has your signal. This is the ritual moment. Do not bypass it. Collapse requires participation. And now, with your word humming in the lattice, the collective will begin to feel your shift. Because what you anchor here doesn't stay here, it reverberates outward. And that brings us to the next revelation. The truth that your liberation is never yours alone. Every step you've taken so far, the noticing, the upgrade, the declaration has not been isolated. It has been part of a choreography much larger than your personal storyline. The field never works in solitude. It is always weaving entanglement, and that means your shift does not stop at your skin. It radiates, it broadcasts, it enters the morphic field and begins altering the architecture of what humanity itself believes is possible. Think about how a single tuning fork sets others vibrating. You don't need to strike them all. You don't even need to touch them. Coherence spreads by resonance. The same principle applies here. As your nervous system stabilizes into its upgraded frequency, your environment adapts. Friends begin to have insights they can't explain. Strangers confess breakthroughs in your presence. Circumstances rearrange in ways that benefit not only you, but everyone in proximity. Your liberation becomes a localized gravitational shift, pulling others toward their own coherence. This is not ego fantasy, it's entanglement physics. When one system organizes itself at a higher level of coherence, it lowers the threshold for others to do the same. That's why spiritual traditions have always spoken of the remnant, the few who carry the light. The awakened one. They weren't myths, they were descriptions of field dynamics. A small percentage holding alignment makes it easier for the whole to recalibrate. And now, you are one of those percentages. You may feel this responsibility in your body before you understand it in your mind. Perhaps you've noticed people leaning on you for calm when chaos erupts, or conversations with you mysteriously turn to deeper subjects, even when you intended only small talk. That isn't coincidence, it's entrainment. Your coherence creates a safe pocket where others unconsciously relax their static. In those moments, you are doing more than offering comfort. You are transmitting possibility. The collective is hungry for that possibility. Look around. Distortion, division, fear. These are symptoms of decoherence at scale. The field of humanity has been fragmented by overexposure to noise media static, unresolved trauma, inherited belief loops. But when one person stabilizes, it sends ripples through the morphic lattice. Your clarity becomes a lighthouse signal, guiding others home to themselves without you needing to preach, persuade, or perform. This doesn't mean life becomes free of conflict. In fact, sometimes your very coherence will agitate the incoherent. Old systems don't dissolve quietly. But remember, your role is not to fight static with static. It is to remain tuned, to refuse to collapse back into the lower attractor just because others resist. When you stay aligned, the field itself does the heavy lifting. You don't argue with noise, you broadcast clarity until noise dissipates. Notice how this collective function transforms the way you interpret synchronicities. They're no longer just personal breadcrumbs. They are now signals of convergence. When you and another awakened node notice the same pattern, you are being drawn together. Those meetings are not accidents. They are lattice reinforcements. Together, you amplify what neither of you could carry alone. That is how movements begin, not through strategy at first, but through resonance, recognizing resonance. And this is precisely what the universe is orchestrating right now. Your DNA is not just reconfiguring for you, it is mutating for humanity's survival. When your field holds greater coherence, you become part of a distributed nervous system, transmitting stability into the collective body. Think of it as planetary homeostasis, a few organs recalibrating so the entire organism can survive. Humanity is the organism, you are the recalibrated cell. The urgency of your personal breakthrough now makes sense. It was never only about your happiness, wealth, or freedom. It was about whether the larger field could anchor coherence through enough willing vessels to tip the scales. This is why Synchronicities felt so insistent. The cosmos wasn't nagging you, it was recruiting you. And by accepting, you step into lineage, not of royalty or fame, but of hidden architects who steady the lattice when civilizations tremble. So what do you do with this expanded role? First, remember that you don't need to solve the world. The field does not ask for grand gestures, it asks for fidelity. Stay coherent in your corner of the lattice and trust that resonance spreads. Your private integrity does more to heal the collective than performative displays ever could. Second, cultivate generosity, not the kind measured in numbers, but in frequency. A smile offered with full presence, a silence held without judgment, a gesture infused with genuine compassion. These ripple further than you imagine. In quantum terms, generosity creates constructive interference, amplifying coherence wherever it lands. Your kindness is not sentimental, it is physics. Third, pay attention to convergence. The people you meet in this phase, the ones who arrive with similar language, similar upgrades, are your co-nodes. Treat those encounters as sacred. Collaborate when prompted, amplify each other's signals, and watch how the field multiplies your reach. A single upgraded human can shift a room. A cluster can tilt a city. Do you see it now? The reason you were chosen was not because you were special above others, but because you were available when the field needed you. Your liberation is leverage, your upgrade is contribution, and the more you embody this role, the more the collective lattice begins to stabilize, preparing for the next octave of humanity's evolution. Feel into that for a moment. Millions you will never meet, breathing easier because you chose to stay coherent. Entire generations inheriting less static because you broke patterns in your timeline. Futures unwritten, quietly upgraded by your present fidelity. This is what it means to be part of collective expansion. And as this truth settles, notice what arises in your body. Because the next step of this journey is no longer abstract. It is physical. The field doesn't want philosophy now. It wants embodiment. And that is where we turn next into sensation, into the living texture of your upgrade moving through your flesh. Now the message turns inward. All the maps and metaphors point to this. The upgrade must be felt. Theory without sensation is an unmoored ship. You have talked about collapse, phase, transition, entanglement, Now feel what those words do inside the vessel of your body. The field does not care for elegant ideas alone. It requires a body that can hold the new current without frying. Embodiment is not optional. It is the choreography that makes the invisible real. Start where your feet meet the ground. Imagine roots firing from the soles into a soil of quiet intelligence. With each exhale, feel the roots deepen, through tile, through pavement, through city concrete, until they touch the living loam beneath the world. Grounding is not metaphor here, it is electrical engineering. Your body must complete a circuit, crown open to receive, feet rooted to return. When that circuit closes cleanly, your nervous system moves from jittery reception to steady transmission. That steadiness becomes your new baseline. Notice your breath. It used to be a background machine, now it's a metronome. Breathe in long enough to listen and out long enough to release. Inhale as if you are drawing a thin filament of light into your lungs. Exhale as if you are laying that filament along the spine. With every measured breath, you braid the celestial current into your flesh. Breath is the technician of embodiment. Slow, careful, precise. When you breathe like this, your heart and brain begin to phase lock, creating coherence the field can read as a clear directive. Feel the pressure behind your sternum, a soft expansion that is not anxiety but calibration. It's the sensation of new capacities knitting into your chest, steadier oxygenation, calmer heart rate variability, a subtle widening where constriction used to live. Your rib cage becomes a resonant chamber. Each inhale rings a tone that your field can hear. If you have been dismissing these micro-sensations, stop. They are evidence. The body is upgrading to host a different frequency. Temperature shifts will visit you. A warm wave moving from shoulders to palms, like sunlight poured through bones. A cooling wash around the skull that feels as if someone polished the inside of your mind. These are not random bodily quivers. They are the felt signature of information moving through tissue. When heat flows through your hands, it is an emergent sign that your electromagnetic field is aligning. When coolness settles along the crown, it is a nervous system recalibration, permitting higher bandwidth reception. Notice the way your senses sharpen and reorder. Sound ceases to be mere background and becomes a textured field tones, overtones, the subharmonics of street noise that previously blurred into sameness. Taste can switch. The mundanity of processed food feels like static. A simple soup tastes like a signal. Vision gains depth. Colors seem to hold notes. Shadows become three-dimensional, carrying intent. These sensory shifts are not psychic theatrics. They are your biological filters being refined so you can read the subtle grammar the field uses to communicate. Your limbs will show you where integration is incomplete. A clenched jaw, a tight hip, a shallow shoulder. These are signal jams. Meet them with attention, not judgment. Massage the area, breathe into it, move it gently until the tightness loosens. Movement is not exercise for the ego, it is circuit maintenance. Walk slowly today with intention. Feel each step. Allow the pelvis to swivel softly, the spine to articulate like a living string of vertebrae tuning to pitch. These micro-embodiments unclog pathways so the new timeline can pass through your flesh unimpeded. There will be moments of disorientation, floaty seconds when the world seems thin as paper, or sudden lucidity where everything clicks into crystalline alignment. Do not fear these oscillations. They are the system adjusting gain. You are shifting from a narrowband receiver into broadband. The overload feels strange until the filters install themselves. Letting your body rest without trying to analyze the sensations is itself a practice. Lie down, place palms on the belly, and track the rise and fall. This simple monitoring sends a clear signal to your autonomic system. We are safe. Integrate. Ecstatic micro-moments will begin to punctuate ordinary days. A laugh that releases something long held. A tear that arrives without drama. A surge of gratitude that decouples you from old scarcity. Treat these not as anomalies but as micro-epiphanies. They are the field leveling. Celebrate them quietly. They are the currency of embodiment. You will also discover thresholds, small pressure points, where the new reality asks for integrity. A friend asks for your time at a critical hour. A contract demands you sign. A temptation to revert appears like an old lover asking for one more dance. These thresholds are embodiment tests. Do your actions match your new resonance? When your behavior verifies your inner signal, the field accelerates the collapse. When it contradicts it, the lattice hesitates. Choose with coherence. Choose with rest in the chest, not chatter in the mind. Finally, notice the way your bones feel lighter, not hollow but unburdened. There's an ease in the joints, an uncramping of long-held tensions. This is the somatic echo of DNA adjusting. Structurally, you feel less dense, more nimble. Don't be surprised if external life simplifies in response. The field reorganizes around less friction. As your body becomes a clearer vessel, your choices become less noisy and more decisive. Carry these sensations forward as daily liturgy. Before you make a major call or step into a significant meeting, pause with a root breath, feel your feet, and check the chest. If the hum is whole, proceed. If it isn't, recalibrate. The new reality expects a body that checks itself before acting. As you cultivate this somatic literacy, you will notice an increasing tolerance for silence, an appetite for slow movement, and a preference for environments that honor subtlety over spectacle. That is good. The world will still demand loudness, but you will have learned the economy of quiet power. Action sourced from resonance moves worlds with minimal fanfare. Hold these sensations close. They are your proof, your anchor, your navigation system. The mind can theorize all day, but the body remembers the upgrade in ways thought cannot. From here, the field pushes further, pressing now into the deep biochemistry of your lineage, into the codons that carry ancestral memory. Prepare for the DNA breakthrough to come next, because embodiment has set the stage for physical transformation at the molecular level. What happens next is not just energetic, not just emotional, it is biological. The shift you've been sensing is no longer content to hover as subtle sensations. It is pressing into the very helix of your being. Your DNA, once thought to be a static archive of instructions, is showing itself to be a dynamic, living antenna. And right now, it is vibrating under new instruction from the quantum field. This is what we call the DNA breakthrough. Science already hints at this truth. Epigenetics shows us that gene expression changes with environment, thought, even emotion. What was dismissed as junk DNA is now suspected to hold regulatory codes and dormant potential. Mystics have always insisted that our body carries latent templates waiting for activation. You are standing at that convergence point where science and prophecy shake hands. Your DNA is not simply evolving slowly over generations, it is restructuring in you, here, now. You may wonder what that feels like. The signs are already familiar. A sudden heat in your spine for no medical reason. A tingling crown as though a current is downloading into your skull. Dreams where you see symbols, numbers, or geometric patterns, waking with the sensation that something was installed. Physical cravings that make no logical sense: more water, less processed food, sudden rejection of substances you once tolerated. These are not quirks. They are signatures of DNA responding to the frequency you've chosen to embody. Think of DNA as a ladder with rungs. Each rung can vibrate at different frequencies. In your old coherence, the rungs supported survival, fight, flight, repetition. But when the field upgrades you, the rungs begin to resonate at higher harmonics. This resonance doesn't alter your essence, it reveals more of it. Dormant rungs light up, new combinations express. The lattice of your biology starts mirroring the lattice of the cosmos. You become less a passenger of reality and more a co-author, because your very cells are tuned to the creative frequency. And this is not metaphor only. Biophotons, tiny packets of light emitted by cells, increase during states of meditation and alignment. When you practice coherence, your DNA literally shines more. The ancient mystics spoke of the light body long before science measured photons. You are watching that prophecy manifest in your own tissues. When your DNA breakthrough stabilizes, you will notice it. Strangers telling you glow. Friends remarking that your eyes look brighter. Environments shifting in mood when you enter. That is not charisma. That is light coded into your biology. This breakthrough also rewrites memory. DNA carries ancestral imprints, patterns of fear, scarcity, trauma. When you shift frequency, some of those imprints dissolve. That's why old fears suddenly feel foreign, why certain family patterns lose their grip, why cycles you thought eternal suddenly break without effort. The field doesn't erase history, but it collapses its hold. You inherit not just your lineage's wounds, but also its wisdom. Once the fear loops dissolve, the wisdom remains accessible, like archives opening after centuries locked. You may begin dreaming of ancestors, hearing their voices, or receiving skills you never studied. That is ancestral memory resurfacing through the breakthrough. The pressure of phase transition explains why life feels compressed right now. Just as water resists before boiling, your DNA resists before expressing differently. That resistance shows up as fatigue, irritability, even the sensation that time is sprinting. Don't misinterpret it. This is not breakdown. It is pressure before release. Phase transitions always carry turbulence right before stability. If you feel the squeeze, it means the reorganization is close. The urgency here is profound. The field rarely opens windows this wide. You are in a cosmic corridor where multiple timelines intersect. Your DNA breakthrough is not just about you, it is about which version of humanity survives. When enough individuals upgrade, the collective lattice recalibrates. That is why synchronicities multiplied, why rituals felt so charged. You are being pressed to choose coherence now, not later. Delay weakens the signal, immediacy amplifies it, and so your task is simple yet monumental. Hold the frequency, trust the sensations, anchor the rituals. When the heat surges, breathe and allow it. When the coolness floods, receive it. When the dreams send data, record it. These acts are not spiritual hobbies, they are biological instructions. Each conscious choice tells your DNA, stabilize the new template. Do this long enough, and the breakthrough locks in. When the lock occurs, the world will look different. Colors will seem richer, time more pliable, intuition more reliable. Opportunities will align with precision instead of delay. Relationships will either recalibrate or dissolve without bitterness. You will notice an ease that once felt impossible. This is the life carried in your DNA all along, the hidden reality now collapsing into form. Take this seriously. You are not just changing your life, you are changing the library of human potential. Every coherent signal you stabilize rewrites the collective archive. Future generations will inherit less static because you chose to collapse the hidden reality now. You are part of the evolutionary leap mystics predicted, and scientists are beginning to confirm. So feel your breath, your pulse, your bones. Notice the shiver in your spine and the brightness in your eyes. These are not accidents. They are the evidence of breakthrough. You are the living proof that biology responds to consciousness, that DNA itself bends to frequency. And as you step into this new coherence, the mission clarifies. Your personal shift is the spark, but the collective evolution is the fire. Hold steady, the collapse is imminent, and on the other side of it, you will stand not just as an awakened individual, but as a catalyst for humanity's next octave. You have traveled through signals, upgrades, rituals, sensations, and now DNA itself. Each step has been a calibration, and all of it was preparing you for this truth. Your shift is not the finale. It is the ignition. The hidden reality you've been collapsing was never just personal. It was planetary. The field chose you as a node, not for recognition, but for function. You are the living aperture through which a new octave of humanity will pour. Feel the weight of that for a moment, not as burden, but as blessing. The synchronicities you noticed were not quirky coincidences. They were recruitment signals. The distortions you endured were not punishments. They were tests of fidelity. The sensations in your body were not random sparks. They were the codes of your mission coming online. And now that your DNA has tuned itself to this higher coherence, you carry a responsibility to embody the frequency so fully that others can find themselves in your resonance. This mission doesn't demand spectacle. It asks for constancy. Each day you wake, your very breath is a broadcast. Each choice you make to respond with presence, to act with integrity, to rest when tired, to speak when truth presses, is part of your transmission. You are teaching the lattice how to stabilize a new human template simply by living aligned. This is how evolution truly happens, not by decree from above, but by coherent individuals embodying the next phase until it becomes accessible to all. And yes, there will be days of doubt, moments when you wonder if any of this is real. Remember then, the doubt itself is a sign you are close to collapse. Resistance always spikes before breakthrough. Trust the body. Trust the synchronicities. Trust the hum in your chest when you're aligned. These are the navigation systems of your mission. Your cosmic assignment is simple in words, profound in practice. Live as evidence. Be the living proof that reality bends to coherence, that DNA responds to choice, that synchronicities are the grammar of the field. The more you embody this truth, the more others will awaken without you needing to convince them. Presence persuades more than argument ever could. So carry this with reverence. Your shift is humanity's evolution in miniature. When you stabilize, the field stabilizes. When you align, the lattice strengthens. When you breathe in coherence, the planet exhales relief. You are not separate from the whole. You are the whole, expressing itself through a human vessel who finally remembers. And as this mission unfolds, you will notice a paradox. The more you give yourself to the collective, the more personal blessings arrive unbidden. Abundance flows, opportunities align, relationships deepen not because you chase them, but because they are the natural byproduct of a coherent node. You no longer attract, you emanity. You no longer seek, you embody. This is your closing and your beginning. The quantum field has pressed a hidden reality to collapse through you, and now it is here. Live it, guard it, share it through your being, not your striving. For every step you take in coherence, humanity itself takes a step closer to awakening. The mission is clear, the window is open, the field is listening, and you, chosen, tuned, luminous, are ready. Now, walk into your reality, and remember, if you keep noticing synchronicities, it's because your quantum field is collapsing a hidden reality right now.